All right. Hey, everybody. This is the Frederick Review. We're speaking today with Neal Owens. He's the owner of the Sunbox Company. They are the only U.S. manufacturer of bright light therapy, and they're located in downtown Frederick. So, Neal, I'll just turn it over to you. Why don't you kind of introduce yourself, and give us a bit more about what you do and what your business is.
Well, hey, I'm Neal Owens, president and founder of the Sunbox Company. And if you've never heard of us before, we're the folks that invented light therapy to help everyone that suffers from winter blues or certain sleep-wake disorders. And I myself, back in the early 80s, was affected by the shortness of daylight hours. I was the territory manager for a large petroleum company. Spring, summer, set sales records, got all my work turned in on time, and made my boss quite happy. Was able to win, sales contests. But boy, come fall, winter, I was a different person. I found myself sleeping more, needing more sleep, feeling tired and run down, craving carbohydrates, eating a lot more junk food. It was almost like my brain batteries were running low on juice, and I didn't understand why. So I went to my family doctor, complained of feeling tired and run down. And my doctor ran me through the normal battery of tests that they look for when someone complains of feeling lethargic and down. And all the tests came back normal. But I knew something was going on, and my boss was chewing me out for not making early morning meetings, and I really needed to do something about it. So I happened to be channel surfing, and the local folks down at National Institutes of Health in Bethesda, Maryland, were pioneering studies. They were trying to look as to why certain people were affected by the shorter day lengths or light deprivation, being stuck in windowless rooms and affected by the gloomy weather. And they already knew, science put their finger on that animals are affected by the shorter daylight levels, and as well as plants and a lot of other things. But what happens is that when the days get shorter, or when we're exposed to prolonged periods of darkness, we have lower amounts of serotonin and dopamine in our brains.
Right.
Now, when it's winter time or fall, that's the signal for animals to migrate or hibernate, or for plants to, flower and get ready to die in the wintertime. So we're affected by the seasonal changes, and I think a lot of us can relate, especially with all the gloomy weather that we've had here in Frederick, that it can affect your mood and your productivity.
Right.
But this isn't anything new. In the second century, a famous doctor by the name of Aretaeus says lethargics are to be laid in the light and exposed to rays of the sun, for the disease is gloom. So I think a lot of us can certainly relate to that. So here at the Sunbox Company, I was affected. I volunteered for the clinical research, found out that I had this disorder called SAD, seasonal affective disorder. And this is the clinical description. It's a type of depression. It's different from other regular depression. With regular depression, people tend to not sleep, or they tend to worry a lot. They tend to lose weight. They don't eat a whole lot. They lose their appetite. But for us SAD sufferers, we want to eat more. We eat a lot more junk food, that second handful of chips, that extra bread and pasta, which makes us feel good.
Yeah.
And we tend to want to sleep more. So it's the symptoms here that people can easily relate to when the change of seasons happen. And here we are in September, losing 2.5 minutes of daylight per day. And I think we can all relate that we're starting to feel that winter is upon us.
So I was a psych minor in college, so I've actually heard about this before. So it's actually interesting to me. It really is, because in psych classes in college, you don't really have a lot of time to really get in super in depth with a lot of things. So this is one of the topics that was mentioned, but never really dived in. So I've heard of this. It's all fascinating. When did you get Sunbox started?
Well, I was a volunteer for the clinical research back in 82, 83. Is when I first contacted the National Institutes of Health They accepted me into their studies, diagnosed me with a seasonal affective disorder. Now, I'm mild compared to a lot of other folks, meaning I was able to get out of bed and still get to work, but there's some people that really have their lives wrecked in the fall and winter,
Right.
where they can't get up on time, they can't get their kids up off to school, their relationships suffer, and those people have full-blown SAD. So I'd have to say mine was considered mild, but it affected my earnings, it affected my life. I didn't enjoy the holidays because I was so tired and run down.
Right.
And there's three factors for seasonal affective disorder. The first one is that it's genetic, meaning that this type of depression can run in families. The second is light deprivation for any reason, whether it be the shortness of daylight hours, windowless offices, gloomy weather. And then the third would be stress. So what that means is that if your workload in the fall winter goes up, your responsibilities, you have a lot more to do, find it much harder to deal with because you're so tired and run down. And stress can push someone from feeling blue into feeling depressed. And that's a serious matter. So it's something that you really need to talk with your doctor about and be proactive with your own health.
Okay. So what made you want to kind of head the operation, just kind of become the head honcho, so to speak? What inspired you to do that?
Well, I had to do something because I was going to either lose my territory that I was working in at the large petroleum company. In the spring, summer, I could make 12 to 20 calls a day on my accounts, and come fall, winter, if I was making 4 or 5 calls a day on my accounts, that was a good day. So my boss was constantly looking at, hey, why is your sales dipping? Why are you not making early morning meetings? Why are you not even turning your work in on time to get paid? And I had no explanation for it, but clearly it was caused by the shortness of daylight hours. And the folks at NIH had me run through their battery of tests, and what they thought was it was the shortness of daylight hours and the amount of light that people were exposed to. They already knew in science that it affected animals, and lo and behold, there's a large number of us. About 20 million people are affected by serious seasonal depression. But you add on top of that another 10 to 15 million that get the milder winter blues,
Yeah.
where they just aren't themselves. And if you find these symptoms affecting your life or your job, then you need to do something about it.
Okay. So if you could go back to maybe when you were starting Sunbox or just getting into all this or beginning your business, what's a piece of advice that you would give yourself back then?
Well, the best advice I would say is, surround yourself with good support. That means, get yourself a good accountant, get yourself, good business advisors, learn technology, and all of these things can help. When I started this business, there were no other companies in existence, so I basically started something from scratch.
Right.
And I had no idea what I was getting into because I couldn't predict sales. I didn't know how many times my phone was going to ring. I didn't know how many hospitals were going to contact me for, buying these Sunboxes. And it was quite a challenge that I was working long, crazy hours, day and evening times, weekends, to just keep up with the demand. So I kind of wish that I, surrounded myself with some more supportive people and folks that could help me rather than learning some of the things I did on my own.
Right. You were a trailblazer. You had to learn those things for the people behind you. That's awesome.
Yep, I was a pioneer.
Yeah. What's your favorite thing about running your business today? I mean, what's your joy?
Well, the best part of my job is helping people from all walks of life. Depression and sleep-wake problems affect all of us at some time. And these disorders don't discriminate, from people of all walks of life. Famous movie stars have been my customers, government officials, even musicians that play in, some pretty high caliber bands. You know, this problem of depression can really wreak havoc in everybody's life. So I would say the most rewarding part is helping others, get out of the hole of depression and address their sleep-wake problems so they can be happier and healthier.
Yeah, that's really awesome. I mean, really, that's fantastic. I mean, because it's a hard thing to do, because I feel like at some points maybe you do take on a lot. You're seeing a lot of people when they're low, so that must be tough. But that's really cool that helping people like that. Conversely, what's the hardest thing for you?
Hardest thing is just not being able to predict how busy I'm going to be. So my business is driven by a lot of things, by awareness. People find out more and more about this disorder and these problems. We already know that light can affect you in positive ways and negative ways. We're now being told, hey, turn your electronics off about 2 hours before bedtime. Stay away from blue light in the evening times, because this can throw your sleep-wake cycle way off and delay your sleep. And then here you are now becoming sleep deprived, and you can't get up and focus on what you need to do the next day. So I think the biggest challenge I have is just keeping up with the demand and making sure that I stay focused on customer service and helping those folks.
Because a lot of times your new customers are really in the same boat that you were all those years ago, where they don't really maybe necessarily know what's affecting them.
That's exactly right. So with this type of seasonal depression, and even just general depression, people wait and until they're really at almost rock bottom end before they do something. And the important thing is, don't do that.
Right.
Share how you're feeling with your friends, your family, your loved ones, and discuss it with your doctor. Say, hey, doc, I'm just not feeling myself. And just know that there's help out there. Just by admitting that you need some help, it's out there for you. And you can literally change your life. I was able to get 3 months of lost time back into my year just by, getting some help. And I use this light therapy 20 minutes a day, so it's not, real intrusive. I sit there in the morning at the kitchen table or in my favorite recliner chair and flip my Sunbox on. And while I'm sitting there, I'm already, doing something else, eating, reading, watching TV. And for 20 minutes, I bathe myself in a little sunshine like I have right next to me here. I've got one of my Sunboxes that I've had on this morning.
That's great lighting for video.
It makes a huge difference. It really does.
In that spirit, finding people and bringing them into your business, what's the number one way right now that people come to you, that you find people for your business?
Well, technology has literally changed my business, where we used to rely on fax machines and the telephone lines. Now we're more internet-based, and majority of our business now comes from the internet. We have a website where people can order 24/7. We have dealers all over the nation and even in several other countries. And technology is probably the way that we're reaching more and more people. It's funny, even older folks. I'm 61, so I can't say I'm a spring chicken, but technology's really changed my life as well as my business, because everybody now can go to the internet and find more information about these disorders, find out where you can get, a Sunbox, and then have that information to share with their doctors. So it's very helpful, and I would say technology, the internet has really changed things, where the phones don't ring much anymore. It's all emails. I get,
Right.
Way more emails than phone calls now. And even with the fax machine, most people are sending in emails and communicating electronically versus face to face or picking up the phone.
So you jumped ahead on me and you got really into technology, and that's plays a huge role, basically what you just said. But I mean, over the time that you've had your business, I guess, has obviously you've said technology has evolved. Have you found things that specifically that have helped you, things that maybe as it's changed it's become more difficult? I mean, being a business where things are really personable and you're working with people, in a personal way, has that kind of been more difficult with technology? Maybe because people don't understand what they're really getting into when they're, I mean, have there been any difficulties?
Yes, there has. Because I don't know what people need to find us. So I've been relying, I took some classes and, have some experts to make our website more friendly, created a blog, now do social media on Instagram and Facebook to educate people. And it's interesting that, all ages now are on the internet. I was talking to a lady the other day, and she was saying she was 91, and she had just learned how to use a computer, and she was trying to explore how to deal with her sleep-wake disorders. Her body clock, was not on a 24-hour cycle, and her doctor had mentioned using a Sunbox to normalize her sleep pattern. And she's 91. She was on the computer, and she was trying to learn how to help herself at 91, and that's pretty impressive. Yeah. So I would say that, the technology has really changed all of our lives, from shopping, heck, even I go online if I know what I'm looking for, if I'm looking for a particular brand of product or even a certain item, I can go on, order it today, and have it early as tomorrow, or certainly in a couple of days. And with people suffering from depression, they want to get help fast and feel better now, not even wait till tomorrow.
Right.
So, I would say the technology has allowed people to help themselves and learn better and have more resources.
You made a lot of very good points. What sets you apart from your competitors in that respect? I mean, I don't even know if you have competitors. I don't really know. I mean, what sets you apart at all? Just in general.
Well, that's an excellent question. So we've been in business since 1985 when I started the company commercially.
Yeah.
And I would say what sets us apart is our products are safe and effective and are used in clinical studies worldwide. On the internet here, it's the Wild West, meaning that, you think you're buying a name brand product or a product that's going to help you, and you turn out and buy something and find out that it's junk or doesn't work the way it's supposed to, or more dangerous, it's unsafe to use. So our products are safe and effective. We are UL listed for electrical safety, and we meet hospital and clinical standards for hospitals and the military. And when you're using something like our products for your health and well-being, make sure you use something that's safe and effective.
I mean, it seems like you guys are like, vets of the space in general. I mean, you, like we alluded to before, trailblazers, pioneers. So, I mean, I feel like I kind of already knew the answer to the question I was asking, but it's all really cool. What is one piece of advice you'd give to somebody else trying to start their own business? It doesn't necessarily have to be in your space. It could be, but, just in general, what's a piece of advice?
Well, if you're going to step out and be an entrepreneur or, have a new idea, as I shared with you, do some research, get some help. There's plenty of free help and advisors at schools and a lot of different programs. And, just stay focused on what you want to do, and you want to be the best at what you do. So if you're going to start something, put your whole heart into it. Um, Try and put all your resources in to be the best you possibly can be, and the money will come second. If you're focused on being good at what you do, good customer service, then you'll make a comfortable living, being the best you can.
That is fantastic advice. This was really good. I mean, really, it was really interesting. We went to a lot of places there in a short amount of time, and it was all fascinating to me. Like I said before, I had a minor in psychology, so this was not foreign to me. Kind of going in, I've been doing a lot of these interviews with a lot of interesting people, and a lot of the things that we've talked about are things that I've never heard of before, which is really interesting also. But hearing something that I actually know a little bit about was really cool too. So I really enjoyed this. This was great. I hope you enjoyed it too.
I did.
So the way this will work is I am going to upload this. We're going to get this up, and then once it's uploaded, I'm going to get it all into writing. So once we have it in video form and writing form, that's when we'll get it up on the website.
Okay.
Once that happens, we'll send you links. We'll send you all the stuff that you need to share with your family, friends, on your social media pages, all that good stuff.
That's great.
And that's pretty much the gist of it. The hard part's over. So, it was great.
Well, one thing I want to say also is that for anybody out there that is feeling down, depressed, you don't have normal sleep patterns, ask yourself: is this affecting your life, your well-being, your relationships, your job? And if so, get some help. Talk with your doctor. Talk with your family, and you don't have to needlessly suffer from any of these symptoms. Help's out there, and you can get to feeling better in just a matter of a few days.
Fantastic. Thank you, Neal.
All right. Hey, good talking with you. I'm glad we were able to figure out the technology side here, and you just had me cut my teeth on my first Google Hangout, and I really appreciate it.